Hello, this is Unsung with GameLeap, and today we're going to teach you how to win lane in 2 buttons. Obviously, there's a bit more to it than that, so let's outline the video. First and foremost, we're going to be analyzing early lane phase of a melee versus ranged champion in Korean Challenger. Then we're going to explain what makes this matchup winnable, and then finally breaking down the entire lane phase in depth, showing every mistake, misplay, and misstep. Make sure to stay tuned so that way you can up your League of Legends gameplay. If you're enjoying the video, please remember to hit that like button, it helps us out very much. If you're serious about learning more League of Legends, do I have a deal for you. Over on GameLeap.com, we've just released over 100 new champion videos, including a full course on Yone to help you smash those ranked games. Purchasing a subscription nets you hundreds of champion-specific videos brought to you by the highest ranked mains and enthusiasts. All of our Challenger coaches strive to provide the best possible content for you, so make sure you check out GameLeap.com. What are you still doing here? Go check out the website right now. To begin, we're focusing on Volibear. Since his rework and hotfix buffs, Volibear has been completely dominating top lane and the jungle in high-elo League of Legends. Bear has incredibly high durability, amazing heals, and insane damage. This Korean Challenger player has an unmatched amount of knowledge on one of my favorite reworks to touch the Rift, as well as a very unconventional playstyle. So let's break this down. We notice that our bear does have vision. He sees that the Jace is going to be leashing here due to an early ward placed by his kindred. Bear is going to make a smart play here and cheese the Jace as he walks into lane, proccing press the attack and immediately giving himself an HP advantage. As you can see, Bear is at about 80% while Jace is at about 20. This is already an incredible start. In a melee versus ranged matchup, the most important thing for you to trade is your HP. HP is a resource and it does have to be used. Here, the Jace does make a mistake and we'll go into this a little bit later. Bear immediately starts to zone and pressure the Jace off of minion XP range and takes a small trade. Right here, he actually cancels his auto animation. Volibear's auto attack without attack speed is actually incredibly sluggish, and now his lead is almost gone. However, if you do pay attention to the wave, he does have a slight advantage. So, Bear pops his pot. As you can see, Jace did start a Cole, and he's already used his potion. He does have a biscuit available. Volibear immediately procs his passive, and makes sure to keep it up. As the lane phase progresses a little bit, you could already see what the Bear is going for. Jace has messed up the wave, and he's messed up the early game in 3 key points. We'll talk about this a little bit later, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. Bear uses Q to zone, Jace blows all of his mana, and then eats his biscuit. As you can see, Jace has no more sustain in the lane, but neither does Bear. Bear does have a level advantage though. Their jungler is spotted down here on the mid side, so Bear knows that he's safe to continue pushing. Now this is where the big play happens. This Jace immediately gets overzealous, goes to harass his Volibear, Volibear 100 to O's him. Instantly. Let's watch this again. So to begin this fight, Bear tries to catch Jace out with a well-placed E. This E has 2 purposes. First of all, it zones Jace from the wave. Second of all, it gives the Bear damage and a shield. So Jace thinks that he's safe in this position, but he instantly jumps in on the Bear on top of his shield. This means that the Bear actually doesn't take any damage, and Jace tries to chase him out to make sure some damage sticks. Bear autos, Qs, Ws during his Q animation, instantly procs press the attack, and then gets one quick slap for an instant kill. That entire combo does over 450 damage instantly. Jace made a gigantic glaring mistake on top of a slew of small mistakes, and he lost his lane phase. Bear, making great use of his kit, immediately punishes the Jace. You can see now they both teleport back. Bear ends up picking up a Doran's ring, boots, and a refillable potion, where Jace gets a longsword and 2 pots. So at this point in the lane, our Bear is incredibly strong. He's going to want to pressure every single advantage he can onto the Jace because he does have a lead. When you are behind in a melee versus ranged matchup, as a ranged champion, you have to be incredibly careful. Trundle gets spotted out over here by the kindred, and Bear takes a bad trade. So at this moment in time, Bear immediately throws his lead. However, our Bear does end up getting 2 flashes for it, so this is not a completely doomed play. Bear does have his flash before the Jace does by a full second, and Trundle also blew his flash. Trundle is already behind at this point in the game. The kindred has already outpressured him, so this is incredibly valuable for the rest of the Bear's team. Right here, Bear runs back to lane, cancels Jace's recall, and Jace has no teleport. Neither does the Bear. The lane is now equalized, and he is locked. The Jace cannot base without losing too much experience because Bear will turbo shove into his tower and deny all of these creeps. So right now, Jace does have a winning wave, so Bear notices this and starts to thin. Bear immediately tries to jump on the Jace due to the fact that Jace has no mana, so even if he does have a winning trade into him, it won't be too big of a winning trade. He can't pressure it with a kill afterwards. Bear keeps his passive up, gets in a few autos where he can, mostly just wants to last at these creeps. Jace cannot mess with Bear here. So Trundle bails him out. Trundle makes a smart play here and he lane ganks knowing that the Jace can't leave. The jungler's job at this point in the game is to bail out the enemy top. But knowing this, Kindred and Bard make a play on the bot side of the map. This is how the ebb and flow of top lane functions. People are constantly doing things on either side of the map and you have to make sure that you're playing around it. So even though Kindred eats a root, they still secure this kill on Ashe and they end up trying to dive the Karma. Karma's flash gets forced, Varus goes ahead and secures this kill because Trundle showed top lane. If you're playing jungle, this is exactly what you need to be doing. If you're playing top lane, this is what you have to be thinking about. It is okay to take risks and it is okay to make risky plays. Once again, Bear does walk up trying to cancel the Jace's recall. Jace does get a successful recall off here, but it's okay. Bear is not at an incredibly big disadvantage here. The Jace is still behind. So what do you do in this situation? Do you immediately stop pushing the wave? Do you start playing passively? No, when Jace is gone, you need to immediately push the wave and then go for tower, which is exactly what our Volibear is doing here. He's going to try to secure himself a plate before the Jace returns to lane. Plate secured, he goes ahead and gets that return gold. Jace picks up a Dirk, but he's still not that ahead. Bear ends up eating a shock blast here, but that's completely okay because once again he has too big of a wave for the Jace to really do anything. Jace jumps in, doesn't really chase, doesn't follow the kill because he can't. Bear will jump on him and destroy him instantly. So there's two decisions that the Bear could be making at this point in the lane phase. He could either base here or he could try to look for a kill from this brush. He decides to look for a kill. Jace does believe that he's going to base here because he did just win such a hard trade. Bear, however, does have a pink ward in this bush and knows that there is no way that the Jace knows that he is there. The Jace gets overconfident, walks up, and Bear tries to make sure to not allow the phase rush to go off, but it goes off anyways. Doesn't matter. Kindred and Bard come up and pick up the kill. Jace lost a 50-50 here. The Bear had two decisions. He could have either stayed in lane, which Jace doesn't believe that he's going to, and she's from the bush, or he could have went base and reset the lane phase. Bear got traded out by the Jace, so Jace tries to immediately punish this by pushing in and then gets ganked, allowing for Kindred and Bard to walk up and take this kill. So both of our laners are now teleportless. Jace doesn't have his flash available, so there's no way that he can get out of that, and Bear gets to remain in the lane. Even though Jace did have a slight XP lead, that lead is going to vanish now. Remember, risks are a necessary part of the game. And now Bear is back to lane. Bear's doing the same thing that he was before. He's trading HP for CS. This is all that you can do in a ranged matchup such as this, and we know that Bear's flash is up a little bit sooner than Jace's. So knowing this, our Bear player makes a few good reads, a few good side steps, and then jumps on the Jace. Jace ends up getting clapped here, and they both trade at about even. You should not be trading even in a melee lane. Bear does eat a shock blast here, but it's not enough to kill him, and his next rotation is up in about 2 seconds. Bear immediately makes use of this Jace not having flash as soon as he does, and immediately guns him down. So our Bear went from being 1-2 to being 2-2-1 due to smart map movement by himself and the rest of his team, and now he gets another solo kill on this Jace. That is 2 solo kills for our Bear now, 0 for the Jace. Bear decides to not go for this plate and instead go for a quick recall. He wants to make sure that he's back in the lane before the Jace is, and he picks up a Bilgewater Cutlass. Jace did have teleport here. This is why the Volibear ended up backing. If he did not base at that point, then he would have had to teleport with the Jace and then move themselves back to neutral. They're back on even TP timers. So right now Bear has created a teleport advantage for himself. Jace sneaks a plate here. That's completely okay. Bear has lifesteal now and he's able to sustain a little bit more of this damage. So right here, after what we've spoke about earlier in the game, Jace uses his E, which means he can't run away. Bear immediately notices this and tries to go in for a trade. Trundle is not seen on the map, so he's more than likely top lane. The Bear knows this, but instead he goes in anyways. Jace ends up going down here and Bear walks away. Now, Jace did have his flash available, but he chose not to use it. Why? Nobody knows, except for him. Trundle immediately gets traded out and he's going to have to base or farm his jungle for a while. And let's take another look at this lane score. Bear is up CS, he's up levels, and he's up 3 kills to Jace's 0 kills. He gets another plate here, and this secures the end of laning phase. So let's break down the early game in depth and talk about what mistakes the Jace made and how he could have better played this lane. So beginning with the early game, Jace does get poked out here. This is the first big mistake. He had plenty of time to take the long path around and walk around and not open himself up for this. This is Jace's second big mistake. Instead of harassing the Volibear away from the wave and pushing him off with his ranged autos and his Q, he decides to let the Volibear walk up and touch the wave. You do not allow a melee champion to touch a wave like this. As you could see, the Jace has to put in minimal effort to kill this Volibear at this point. He could have continued chasing right there and either forced Volibear's flash to try and get a return kill on him or killed him outright. Jace does have 2 abilities to Volibear's 1. As you can see, he finally realizes that he's a ranged champion and begins auto attacking. However, because he allowed the Bear to touch the wave and because he was not focused enough on zoning the Bear in the early game, Bear does have a level level lead. He gets in a nice shock blast here and he pokes, but that's it. He still has plenty of ways to poke or plenty of ways to jump in, and instead he chooses to not. Bear still has a positive wave right here. His pressure is still positive, he's still walking up, and he knows that Trundle started topside, so Trundle either has to do all of his topside camps and then gank him, or he has to do a normal clear. But neither of that matters because he does a normal clear and then he gets spotted out. So Bear knows that he's completely safe. Jace is finally trying to auto attack again after letting the Bear have a free lane phase. So right here he blows all of his mana on a poke combo instead of on an all-in combo, and then he jumps in on the shield. This is what we spoke about a little bit. He jumps in on the shield while Bear has 5 stacks of his passive, and then he gets blown up instantly. All of those mistakes led to the Bear being able to kill him. There was 3 big mistakes there. Now let's talk about this a little bit. What were the 3 big mistakes that the Jace made? First of all, he walked through this bush. Second of all, he didn't zone him off where he should have. And lastly, jumped on the shield. The combination of those 3 mistakes allowed Volibear to win a losing lane. So how can you apply this? If you are playing a ranged champion into a melee champion, then you need to play more aggressively in the early game. As you could see, there is nothing Bear can do to retaliate against the Jace at this point in the game. Jace ends up actually making an intelligent decision here and jumping in on the Volibear and knocking him out of his E for a free kill. Even if the Trundle was not here, the Bear would have had to base. There is no way around it and he would have got harassed out. So now that we've spoken about what Jace does wrong, let's talk about what Bear does right. Immediately the first thing that Bear does is walk to the tri-bush in hopes that the Jace pass through here. Jace does, and he gets a massive damage straight onto the Jace. This is the most important thing to do as a melee champion into a ranged champion, especially if your melee champion has a strong level 1. If you have a strong or even decent level 1 into a lot of these champs, you will be able to get a bunch of damage here, and a lot of people don't really expect this. Next time you're playing a melee into a ranged, go ahead and do this. It doesn't matter what elo you're at, you can apply this at all ranks. Now, Jace does let the Volibear get positive wave pressure here. Bear trades HP here, which is very intelligent by him, because he knows that he has level 2 advantage. The Jace can't jump in and bully him here because he gave up level 2. Jace goes for some pokes here, but Bear, once again, make sure to maintain this wave pressure. This pressure is a lifesaver in these matchups. It is completely okay to be down really low against ranged champions as long as you are in no danger. Bear is not in any danger here. Jace has no mana. On top of that, he doesn't really have a way to zone the Bear from CS because he messed up the level 1 so hard. So this is something that you have to recognize in all of your League of Legends games from here on out. If somebody messes up and they make a misplay, you have to take an inch and turn it into a mile. The Bear does exactly this. If you learned a thing or two from this guide, then our premium content over on GameLeap.com will blow you away and have you climbing rank after rank after rank. We have a full course dedicated only to top lane guides authored by other challenger coaches just like myself. So waste no time and hit the link on the screen right now to get started. This was Unsung with GameLeap. I hope that you all learned a thing or two from this video, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day.